Hey, welcome back to the shop. We're inside today because it's raining out. In our never-ending effort of do-it-yourself sustainability type of things, we're going to be sharpening some. These are paper cutter knives. They go into a paper slicing machine for a local company. However, they're very, very similar to chipper knives. So if you wanted to sharpen a chipper knife or like a jointer blade knife or the paper knife, the principles are basically the same. So what I'm going to do, I've already done one of them. If you can see, they come in this handy dandy little jig here. I taped the edge and put that one away. I've already done one. I was waiting for a customer. I was going to show both of them, but the customer interrupted me in the middle here, so we're just going to do one. And I'm going to try to keep your view. Let's see here. I need to get you so that you can see. I'll bring you in on the important parts, but the principles are the same regardless of what you use to do this. You could use just sandpaper on a granite stone. I'm actually going to use that. I prefer diamond plates. This is a Trend 1300 and this one's DMT and I think it's 1200 and the coarse side is looks like 600. So the coarse side's one grit finer than the coarse on this, and the fine side's one grit finer than the fine side on this. What we want to do without buggering this up is to kind of keep the same geometry, just because I know you can't see my face, but this is the important part. We don't want to turn this into a hacked up job here. Now, if the edge is nick free like this one is, just slightly rounded over right here, it's not even that bad. You can simply test it just for cutting paper. You simply test it with your fingernail to see where the real dull spots are. It's very sharp down here. This area here doesn't get used a lot. Sorry, I don't have my mics on, but I lost my mic hookup for my phone, and I had to order new ones. So what we want to do to keep the geometry the same is, the first thing we want to do is we're going to flatten this back, make sure it's flat, and that we get nice polished marks all the way out to the edge. You could clean these with, we don't know really what environment they're coming out of, but you could clean these with like mineral spirits or alcohol, something like that. But you don't need to. You're kind of making this harder than it is. The first thing that we're going to do is we want to get a nice honed polished edge, or a honed edge, out to the edge along the cutting edge on the bottom, to make sure that we've addressed. If you look at, I'll bring you in close in a second. If you look at this knife, it's been sharpened before. However, you can still see the fly cutter marks on it, and those were never taken out. Now, my experience with these knives is usually they're hollow like this, and I want to make sure that along where I just blued that up, that I take those honing marks out. So what we're going to do is, it's really very simple. We're going to start with the coarse side of the diamond plate, the coarsest side. And we're going to run this back and forth. I'm going to do it dry just so I don't get crap all over my bench. And keep our hands on top so we don't cut ourselves on the sharp edge. But we're going to hone across, keeping this nice and flat, all the way down the edge. And I'll show you the results here real quick, because this one actually cleaned up really fast. I see one little area right here, it's not quite as thick as the rest of the way, and one little area here. The rest of it cleaned up really fast. I'll show you in 1 second, but I'm going to do this again. Also, to clean up a diamond plate, use an eraser. So when you're running them dry like this, you just use an eraser to rub them off. Takes all the metal filings out of the edge where it loads up. And I just take a towel and dust it off, get it cutting good again. And then we're going to go back. And I actually, just where I see the thin spots, right here, I'm just going to blue that up. And then there's kind of a spot right here where I can still see a couple marks. Just those two. That's how, I mean, it's literally how fast it goes. You could almost, if your top side's good, you could almost be done right now. This will cut paper fine, but we're going to, since we're doing this for a customer, we're going to take extra effort to, and one thing I have found with these is that sometimes in where these holes are, there can be grit in there, and it'll pull the grit out and scratch it. I'm going to show you now what that did just with the coarse side of the plate. So what we have now is we have a clean area where there's no machine marks down the edge. You can see it got a little bit thin right there, but I went over that a few times and it didn't get any bigger. It's most likely that there's some sort of weird dip in the plate right there, but we have gotten all the way out to the edge. So what we're going to do is, now that we've done that, we're going to move up grit. We're going to go a little finer. I don't really need to use the other plate. If this was really damaged, what I would do is I would use every grit. So I would then go to the coarse side of the DMT plate, which is just a little bit finer. Do the same thing. If you want to blue it up again, you can. But not only is this honing that edge, but also we're flattening the backside somewhat. You can hear that grinding. That's that whatever's going on in these holes here. And then we'll move up to the finer side of the trend plate. And it's not, you'll be able to see the polish come out, so you don't have to blue it up, but just for the sake of making sure I get all the way to the edge, let's just go ahead and blue it. And really, we just want to basically go until the blue's gone, because that means that we've hit all the way to the edge. Yeah, there is a weird little dip right here. So if I show you this, so as it's starting to polish up on the edge now, but you can see, do you see that blue spot right there? This hole is keeping me off that, I think. I think this hole is raised. And there's another area right here where it's getting to the edge, but it's not as pronounced. And I think it's just places where this isn't flat. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to come at it from a different direction and see if I can get to it before. So what I'm doing is I'm turning my plate and I'm see if I can get, yeah, that got to it right away. So I think what's happening there is that this is raised up and it's keeping me off that spot. Yep, and the same thing down here. So now that we're all the way out to the edge on the backside, and the backside is flattened, we want to keep removing the metal from our plates as we go. Hopefully you see this. We keep removing the metal from our plates as we go. We're going to concentrate on the front side for a second. Now I can grind this. Right now we have a beautiful polished edge all the way across. That is coplanar with the top of the back right here, which is very, very rough. It really kind of should have been deburred. But if you do it this way, this might be done right now. Sometimes there's not enough damage to these and it can be done right now. Now this one is very sharp down here. Grab my fingernail. And as I come down, it gets progressively more dull, and it's not dull down here, but it's fairly dull. So we're going to do the top side too. And what we want to do with the top side is I'm basically going to find an area. You can see at some point somebody did regrind this and actually created kind of a double facet here. And they did that to speed up the process. So this is probably at a little bit different angle than this. Because at some point it was probably very dull. But in our case, what we want to do, if we're not going to grind it, and I could take it to my grinder set up there and use the CBN wheel to hone along the edge, but we don't need to in this case. This is going to be plenty fast enough and create an edge that's super, super sharp. We're going to want to glue up the edge again. Make sure that we hit the whole edge. There are no nicks on this, so that's good. Again, we're going to want to go back to the coarse side of the stone or plate, whatever you want to call it. Just going to make sure that there is no metal impregnated into the diamond. It's just going to make it go faster. And we're going to set this on here at the angle. And, oh, it's moving around. Hold on one sec. Let's see if I can get a little bit more on this. There we go. Should work. You can kind of hold this with one hand. We're going to go down the edge now, and we're going to watch for, we're keeping this on the bevel. We're going to watch for where it's honing. So I don't know if you can, just would be moving it back and forth there a couple times. I hope you can see. Actually, let's get you in close. You can see it's starting to remove the blue right along the edge. Now this is good. If this does this, we're going to be done really fast. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, and you actually have to create a micro bevel, but it looks like the geometry of this edge is good, and we're not going to have to do that because it's only hitting right on the outside, and that's going to make this go really fast. So we want to go right down the edge. I'm going to keep the plate skewed just a little bit. We're missing right here for sure, so that's going to be an issue that we're going to have to solve in a second. What we're looking to do is basically create a line all the way down the edge that we've honed out to the edge, which creates the apex on the edge. And obviously this is the coarse grit, so you can see it's pretty coarse. But when you get down here, if you notice, it's missing right there. There's something weird going on there with an overground spot where they ground this and it got hollow or something. So we're going to have to pay that spot a little bit of attention. I do want to stay flat. Now right now, this is going to be, even with just that coarse side, this is going to be fairly sharp. Everywhere where it's hit out to the edge, it's going to be fairly sharp. So you're going to be really careful. But I want to address this area a little bit heavier without creating a dip in it. So I'm going to keep going all the way back and forth. But once I hone this to the point with this coarse side, where whatever's in the way comes out of the way, that line will move all the way down. Right now, it's really not. See how sharp that is there. Yeah, it's pretty dull. So we're taking away a ton of material right here. and it's still not hitting here. So what we're going to do, we are going to have to create a micro bevel on this, and I'll show you how to do that. You want to check the back side to see if you have a burr. Right now I do. All the way down. Should not be a burr here, and there isn't. So we've apexed this knife all the way to the edge. What we want to do right now is we want to go finer and polish it up a little bit. I'm going to run through all the grits here just because. Let me move you back a little bit. I'm going to go through all the grits here because of that spot, but I am going to show you how to effectively create a micro bevel there, which is going to sharpen that edge afterwards. So we're going to go to the coarse side of this plate. We're going to just run through all 4 grits here. You gotta be careful with your fingers. If you run them into it, you're going to cut them. Okay, now we're going to go to the fine side of the DMT plate. I'm sorry, the trend plate. Make sure there's nothing on it. I'm going to just demetal it really quick with the eraser. So it cuts, it's just going to cut faster like this. It'll still cut the other way, but it's going to cut faster like this, taking the metal out. Try and get this done as quick as I can so this video doesn't go 9,000 years. And you just want to keep it right on the bevel. You can kind of hold it here. With a knife this big, it's not a problem. I am going to spend, every time, I'm going to spend a little more time down here so I can get closer. And we're trying to remove the heavier grit marks along this edge. It's going to start polishing up like a mirror. Now, for the sake of expedience here, for speed, you could just go right to micro bevel right now. I was hoping that this was going to clean up, and it is starting to get sharp there. So if I don't have to do a micro bevel, it's only better. If you keep the original geometry on this, which makes it easier in the future if somebody other than you has to sharpen it. You should keep that in mind. All right, now we're going to go to the fine side of the DMT plate. And we're going to just do a once over with this finer side. Oh, that sounds. Oh, that's. This one's got some grit on it somewhere. Yep. All right, there's something in this plate, I'm not sure what it is, that is causing some weird marks on here. I'm going to go back over it with the other one, and then we're going to go to finer stuff. Actually, we're going to create a micro bevel, and then we'll go to a finer plate. Whatever was in that plate was creating some weird scratch marks on it. I don't want one of those scratch marks to go through the edge. If you get lost and don't know where you are, then just stop. So what we have right now is a polish out along the edge out here. It's hard to see in the light here, except for that one little weird spot. Oh, you can see, actually, you can see the shine there, the polish along there. And then that one little weird spot right there is not great. It's polished all the way to here and then it stops. It's very, very close though. So we are going to have to micro bevel this. And the best way to do a micro bevel on this, I should have a burr on the back side, and I do. We're going to take that, we don't have to take the burr off right now. Let's just do the micro bevel first. So the way to do a micro bevel is just to put a piece of tape across the top. You know, this doesn't need to be super scientific. All it's doing is raising the top of the plate up. We just want to kind of keep it kind of even. And then I'll use this tape to tape the edge after I'm done for transport. What that does is that's going to raise the plate up slightly so it's only honing across the edge. And we're going to go ahead and blue this edge one more time. We'll see how much we hit of it. Now this end down here doesn't need almost anything. It's very sharp. It's all the way sharp all through here except for that one little low area. So we're really trying to get that one little low area. And what we want to do is just register along the tape. And I'll show you what this is going to do. What it's doing is it's honing the edge at a slightly different angle. And if you look at the knife now, you'll see that edge where it honed at a slightly different angle, and we got past, if you look at that deep blue spot right there where it was angled, we got past it. You see that line across the top there where it polished past it. So that should be the whole edge. I'm going to do one more go over of it, and then we're going to go finer. I don't know if I can show you. It's just a way of getting past this little, there you go. I think you can see it there. And it's not the greatest view, but it did polish it did hit the edge past that blue dip in the plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit finer. I'm going to start on the back side. Now we have a burr on the back now. The burr is all the way down, which is good. That means we sharpened all the way out. And I'm just going to use some paper on a piece of granite. And we're going to just, let me get this thing kind of stable here. What we're going to do is we're just going to polish the back side nice and flat. What we're doing right now is we're getting rid of the burr, creating a mirror type of finish along the edge right now. This is 2000 grit paper. It's worn a little bit, so it's probably polishing finer than that. And then we'll go to the 2500 paper. We'll do the same thing. All we're doing is keeping the back flat, polishing out the edge to a mirror. This is not removing any metal at this point. It's just polishing. If I can get my, you can see it's a mirror finish now, and there's none of those fly cutter marks along the edge. This thing was really knockered up at one time. You can see it's stuff like in these holes, like it's almost hardened or case hardened there, and chips are coming out where it should have been beveled and something like that. But we have now a really nice mirror finish all the way down the edge. Now we're going to do the top side again, and then maybe once finish off on the back, and this will be good to go. And we're going to do it at the micro bevel angle. Start with the 2000. I want to get this thing over so it's not going to tilt. So nothing's going to interfere with me. I'm going to take the 2000. We're going to just register it, and we're going to go right down the edge. What we're doing now is we're just polishing the edge. We're not removing metal, guys, at this point. What we're doing is just polishing the edge to a mirror finish. You could do this with your chipper knives or planer knives or jointer knives, whatever. I'm going to go one more time, as long as, yep, I just want to see that nice little polished area past that low spot in the knife. Go up to the 2500, do the same thing. You don't have to go this far. You could stop after the diamond plate. This thing's going to cut paper just fine. Just trying to do the best job for my customer that I can. What this is creating is a nice little mirrored edge all the way down, taking all the scratch marks out of it. We're going to flip it over. We're going to just give it, it's got a burr on the back. We're just going to give it one little quick hone with the 2500. And this knife is done. Hopefully I'll be able to get the light right for this. Maybe I can get you over here where you can see it better. It's an absolute mirror finish along the edge. You can see that high spot right there. See how it goes past the low spot? That's why I did the micro bevel. And now this is far, let me get you over here. So this now is far sharper than they can machine sharpen it. Grabs my nail. This would probably shave hair. Just to show you how sharp that is. I just shaved my hair. Right here, right where I just shaved. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of tape, being very careful that we don't mark ourselves. And I'm going to use it to tape over the edge so that it doesn't get damaged in transport. Leave about half on the top, half on the bottom. Pick it up, fold it over. Don't seal it down super tight, and we'll put this thing back in its home. Over here. So the purpose of this video is really just to show you that the principles of doing it are the same, regardless of the medium that you use. Get rid of that little sign that says dull. Oh yeah. Actually, on this one, you have to go through the holes on the jointer, on the cutter knife. I'm just going to stick a little piece on the tape on these two. You don't need to go more than finger tight with these, just protecting you from getting cut. We're going to stick a little piece of tape on both that say sharp and a date. I think today is the 8th of May. Take our Sharpie. Now, if these knives were damaged, the best way to fix that damage would be to go to a grinder. No two ways about it. If these were chipper knives and they had big, huge dings in them, they'd need to be ground, and then I would have to grind them on my grinder and have a setup here for that. However, if there were only small nicks and small dull spots, doing the micro bevel, which is very, very, very thin, really can go a long way to getting rid of nicks and stuff like that. So that's it for this video. Those two are ready to go. Like I was saying, it would not be any different if it was a, say like a jointer knife from my Craftsman jointer. The only difference with this would be that instead of honing them flat on the table, I would hold the knife to do it. So to flatten the backside, I would try to keep nice even pressure and do it like this. And to do the bevel side, I would hold it on the bevel and do it like, and try to keep my finger pressure nice and even. My hands all day. Try to keep your finger pressure nice and even. And do it like this, starting with the coarse side and working my way through the fine side, and that will sharpen them all the way out. You could grind them, and you also can go ahead and get them on the bevel, lift up a teeny bit, and create a micro bevel, which makes it go faster. If I, just because people that have jointers are going to watch this, say, oh, how can I do it with a jointer knife? Let's go ahead and blue across this really quick. And the fastest way to fix this, once you flatten the back, keep an even pressure on it. You can go circles, you can go straight and back, whatever. When you do this side, is to blue up in between, and if it's damaged or rounded over, you want to lift up slightly on it. Try and keep nice even pressure. Find your bevel, lift up slightly. Find your bevel, lift up slightly, so that you're just sharpening the area that's just on the other side of where the blue is, right along the edge itself. This is digging into my thumb right now. I can't even. So just that little bit right there got this jointer knife sharp. It's digging into my thumb. This is way sharp enough to joint, to cut wood and jointing wood. Just that little bit on the fine side of one of those stones. That's how sharp that just made that, just going to that little bit of a micro bevel. And that little bit of a micro bevel is not going to cause any clearance issues or anything like that. And you just want to probably work, if you want to get it super, super sharp, is just work progressively lighter. If you don't trust yourself, just keep bluing it up and do it until the blue's gone. This right now is like a razor blade. This is very, very, very sharp. I don't know if it will. Yeah, it does shave. It does shave hair. I was just going to say, I don't know if it would shave hair because of not going to any of the finer grits, but this does shave hair. That's plenty sharp enough for a jointer knife. So I am going to put jointer knives in the description, because you can see how fast I just did that. I still would go through the finer grits just to refine that edge a little bit. And you don't need anything special to do it. You can do it on, like this just wet, dry 3M film on these granite plates. And then same thing, you want to find your bevel and then lift up slightly. Just move back and forth, try to keep even pressure on it. If you get lost, find the bevel, lift up very, very slightly, just back and forth. Flip it over, take the burr off. Same thing, all you're doing is honing out the edge. Now it's kind of got a I can't get the light right. I can't get the light right to show you. Maybe like this. It's starting to get a nice little mirror right across the edge, just with what I'm doing. Just a little bit that I've done. It's really hard to see right now. I can see it. Yeah, I get a different angle. I can see it in my eyes. I can't see it in the viewfinder. If you don't trust yourself, you can either shave your arm or keep going. So obviously it's sharp. And for a jointer knife, it doesn't need to be any sharper than that. And again, if there was damage to this, then you would have to grind it first, or just keep going like this until the damage is gone. I don't know if that's going to show up or not, but that's pretty much it. Take the burr off the back, polish the back, try and keep even pressure, flip it over, find the bevel, lift up very, very slightly. I would try to go back and forth like this, and just to keep yourself from creating a spot where you dig into the film. If you go back and forth at an angle like this, it's pretty easy. If you try to do circles like this, there's a chance you'll dig into the film or you'll lose your angle. The angle doesn't matter. It's just a relief angle. That's one thing that's massively misunderstood about this process. This angle here, I wish I could get the light right so you could see the polish across the edge. This angle right here is just a relief angle. So as the knife comes around on the bottom, as this comes around to cut in, that the back side of this relief angle doesn't dig into the wood. So it cuts like that. This is just to get this back side out of the way, so it doesn't ride on the wood and keep the cutting edge from cutting like that. Now you want to keep this somewhere around 30 degrees just for edge durability, but all that's there for is just to get this metal out of the way, so when you come into the wood, you're cutting with the cutting edge and not riding on the bevel in the wood and keeping the cutting edge from cutting. So you can kind of see it there maybe. So that's it. Hopefully if the people that watch for jointer knives will stay till the end, I'll put a little thing in the description, just say if you watch for jointer knives, stay till the end. It's the same process no matter what this is. Chipper knife, planer knife, jointer knife, big ass things to cut paper in a print shop, whatever. The back side is a registration face, keep it flat. Front side is a relief angle. Angle doesn't matter as long as it's not too steep and it's not so shallow that this edge gets really thin and rolls over. So 30 degrees seems to be what works the best. In the industry, 31, 32, 35 is fine. Usually you don't get into trouble until you get up around 45. So that's it. Hope you guys are having a great day. Little rainy day shop. And this is Pirate Solutions out.